Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Dalia Assad, and I'm the VP of Sales at NIC Partners. Thank you for joining us today and taking the time out of your busy schedule during these changing times. I'd like to start by mentioning that this session will be recorded, and the link to the recording will be emailed to all attendees early next week. Please feel free to share it with others in your organization who may also benefit from watching it. There's a Q&A panel on the right-hand side of your screen. So please feel free to enter any questions and we'll answer them as they come in. Please make sure you direct your questions to myself or Dr. Lance Ford. That way he's able to see them and get to them as soon as he is able to see them. So you might already know a little bit about NIC Partners, but just in case you don't, we're a Southern California-based technology integrator with 20 years of experience. We're a Cisco certified partner, and we're also master specialized in collaboration. We've helped more than 50 school districts with their technology needs, and 3/4 of our current client base are K12 and higher ed customers. If you're not currently a Webex customer, we would love to talk to you about how we can help you incorporate the Webex suite of collaboration technologies into your distance learning offering. I'm excited to introduce you to Dr. Lance Ford, who will be presenting today. We're very privileged to have Dr. Ford as a presenter, and you'll soon see why. Dr. Ford is an educational technology advocate for Cisco, but for 7 years before being with Cisco, he's a teacher and a technology facilitator at Howe Public Schools in Oklahoma. Howe is a rural district that incorporates a wide variety of technological tools to reach its 21st century student population. Dr. Ford will demonstrate how his district uses Webex, and we'll talk about best practices for distance learning with Webex. At this point, I will pass you the ball, Dr. Ford.
Thank you, Dalia. Awesome sauce. Well, everybody, welcome to Southeast Oklahoma. Yes, I am Lance, and to Dalia's point, I am a music teacher. In fact, 5 weeks ago now, we stopped rehearsing for what would have been opening night last night of Sister Act. I teach 50 students every morning from 7:55 a.m. to 8:55 a.m. in our choir class. I also teach online for our regional university. I've got about 70 learners this spring in a couple of sections of Music Appreciation. And then for Cisco, I get to teach teachers. And it's really a cool part of my life because right before I joined this get-together, I was working with teachers from all over the world, about 50 of them, who were looking at some of the very concepts that we're going to be talking about today. And they're to the point now they're ready to implement. So on every Tuesday, selfish plug here, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 a.m. Central, I'm teaching teachers. And if you're interested in having a link to where all that resides, I'll get that to you as we go through the process. Just a little bit of background before we get rocking and rolling here. Howe, Oklahoma, you heard Dalia say that. I guess we should set the stage as to what that is, where that is, and why these tools, these Webex tools, are so important to us. Howe is a rural community against the Arkansas-Oklahoma border. That's where I am right now. In fact, I'm in my school office here at the school. And now that Google Earth is zoomed in on it, you can see there are literally this many streets and this many stoplights, right? I'm right in the middle of campus. I'm going to zoom in just a tad here. And the reason I'm showing you this is not to beat my chest and say, oh, look at us, aren't we amazing? The reason I'm showing you this is to say, it doesn't matter where you are. You should be able to participate in high quality, engaging 21st century learning opportunities, regardless of your socioeconomic background or the geography in which you find yourself. I'm standing right there. That is the softball field outside that door, okay? All the phones and devices you see behind me, this one over here is to the school, that one right there is to the university, that one is to Cisco. I'm going to mute them as fast as I can if they start ringing, but I'm sorry in advance for any and all distractions that will probably happen while we're together. Now, you heard me say I'm a music teacher, which means I love to chase rabbits. I only have 7 letters in my alphabet, A through G, so I kind of use the KISS principle as well, and that's hopefully what we're going to do today is just get down to where we live. I promise I'm not going to show too many slides, but I do want to kind of set the stage as to where we are. Now, Dahlia mentioned, if you are wanting to get some questions answered, I'm not going to wait till the end. I mean, I want you to jump right in right now and say, yo, Lance, quick question for you. How am I going to apply this, or whatever your question is? But I'd like to start with a question to you guys. And the way you're going to respond is by clicking the little button below the list that has a raise hand. So I'll be able to see as you raise your hand what's going on inside this experience. So if you would raise your hand in response to the following question: you either work at a public school, at a college, at a university, or you are a trainer for someone. You are a teacher of students. They may be any age. I don't care which age. Would you please raise your hand right now so I can know how I'm going to tailor this experience? All right. I see Derek. Yes. Beautiful. All right. Dalton. Excellent. Derek. Yes. Thank you. Richard, Samuel, Zaina. Perfect. Oh, this is so good to have all you teachers here. Okay. So for those of you who are not teachers, you're just going to get to rock and roll ahead. I'm going to address this to teachers because they are about here right now. If they're like me, 5 weeks ago, they were told, don't come back. Oh, by the way, the last time you're ever going to meet live with your current learners, it's already happened. There was no closure. There was no opportunity for them to get to say goodbye other than, you know, like this electronically. And being in a classroom situation day in and day out with 50 learners, I'm all about building a family, right? And so to have our family just kind of torn apart is pretty rough in the face of COVID-19. The one thing that I would say is, first, you got to just take a deep breath, okay? I had to decompress for about 24 hours and just take a deep breath, because I was then told, retool and start teaching the class that you were with, in this manner. So here's some of the things that I do in my regular online class that I want to point out to you, because I think so many folks get wrapped around the axle of, oh, video is so cool. Oh, you can see people. Oh, you can hear people. Yes, but in my world, I have 3 learners plus 2 parents in a home with minimal bandwidth and maybe 2 devices. Okay? So while audio and video live synchronous communications are amazing, and Webex is phenomenal because it gives me a phone number. So my 40% of my learners, because of their socioeconomic background, don't even have internet access at their house. Okay? So Webex is phenomenal because it gives us a phone number they can actually dial into and still at least be heard as a part of our engagements. But please, please, please use the tools on this end of the spectrum: the email, the file exchange, the whiteboard, the learning management system. Well, this is going to be a big part of our conversation. Use those tools asynchronously to disseminate information, because your live time is so, so precious. And it's so hard to get everybody together like this. So I'll show you how to schedule it. I'll show you how to make use of it. I'll show you how to record it. I'll give you some best tips for doing it. But just because we're doing all that, please, please, please don't throw out the asynchronous forms of communication. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time in this PowerPoint, but there are, as you can see, a whole lot of tips for teaching inside here, from starting the experience to the 1, 2, 3s of getting going, to how to set your environment and make sure your environment is most conducive for live learning. I may or may not come back to this, but if you are interested in having this PowerPoint, please, please, in the chat, in the Q&A, say, yeah, I want it, and I will put it directly into the Webex team space. We'll talk more about that here in a second. And you guys can have any of my resources. That's why I am here. Okay. Now, are there any questions so far, Dahlia? Are you seeing anything going on there?
Yeah, there is. TJ is asking, can Webex support on-screen closed captioning? And if so, can the on-screen closed caption support different languages?
Good question. So yes, it can. Today, that closed captioning requires that an individual be responsible for putting that in as a part of the experience. And obviously, the individual who's putting that in could actually do that on the fly. I'm going to, in whatever language, I'm going to show you where this is going. I'm going to show you a feature that is not yet publicly released, and I'll show it to you first in its current released form, by going into my on-demand classes and my on-demand recordings. So let me do this real quickly. I'm going to log in as me here at the school, and I'm always careful not to violate FERPA. I'm not going to show you any student images, so I'm going to bring up one that I did as a part of a flipped learning process. I literally, as you will see in this recording, was sitting right here at this desk. I hit the start button on my Webex, and then I hit the record button, and this is what came out. Okay, now I've got the audio turned down. Listening to me once is bad, twice is horrific. Okay, so I turned the audio down, but you can see that my lips are flopping there, my gums are going, and at the bottom you see closed caption happening as a part of this experience. Not only do you see closed caption happening here, but you also see the transcript of the entire thing over to the right. Now, why is that a big deal to have the transcript? Honestly, maybe 10% of my learners need audio for ADA compliance, but man, the rest of them love to be able to go through the class and go, don't care about anything except when is the midterm, Dr. Ford. So they search the word, it highlights it in the text, boom, fast forwards the video, and now we're watching it from that moment. So all of that is built into my on-demand recording at no additional cost. And if you're an educator and you have the education license, you have unlimited cloud-based recording storage for these events. Okay. Now this is using a tool that Cisco acquired about 8 to 12 months ago called Voicea. And Voicea is not just a transcription engine post facto. It is also a meeting assistant. So this is what's available today. What I'm showing you right now is what's available today. Let me show you what is in forthcoming to be available. Let me start a new meeting here.
Do you know when it'll be available?
That's a great question. If you had asked me that a month and a half ago, I'd have said April the 15th. And the reason I said that was because that was going to be the general release date for it. And then all of a sudden we had this little global pandemic that decided to get in our way and determined for us that we couldn't prioritize new features, but instead we need to prioritize capacity. So new features this may be into the summer before this actually comes out. But it is forthcoming, and like I said, you're going to see it happen right here. You see this thing at the bottom that says, I'm the Webex assistant? I'm going to turn on the Webex assistant. Now, I told you that Cisco acquired a company called Voicea to actually do this, and I have no idea where your question is coming from as far as, what you're using today or what your expectations are of live experiences and closed caption. But one of the reasons Cisco acquired this company is because of security. Today, if you're using another service provider, chances are good that your closed captioning is going out to a third party somewhere. It may be a Google Analytics. It could be some other site. And that site is actually taking your recording, listening to all the audio, making the text, and then sending it back to your provider. Security is job number one at Cisco. In other words, they are a security company. So it was important enough for them to say, we're not going to outsource the tool that is going to take our live transcription or our on-demand transcription. We're going to in-source that process to maintain the integrity of the data. So you see that this tool is actually taking everything I'm saying and it's taking it and putting it into speech to text. Occasionally you will see it go back and make some corrections because it has AI built into it. So it's constantly learning, and each word that it thinks it hears, it gives a percentage of accuracy. And then based on the context of the sentence, it will go back and then say, no, it wasn't that word, it was this word, and change that accordingly. It also does highlights as a part of the experience. The purpose for highlights is for me to be able to say things like, okay, Webex, take a note. Tomorrow I need to book with Evelina a live meeting. It's going to take that, it's going to put that as a note, and it's also going to put it directly into my calendar. So it's actually not just doing the speech to text, it's actually taking highlights and doing things that need to be done in the background. So that's the tool that is forthcoming. I wish I had a hard date for you. I'm so sorry that we have a pandemic going on that we're wrestling right now, but that's the way it works. Into this, boom, boom, That is done. Great question, Dahlia. If I didn't learn anything else from my PhD, I did learn how to take a 5-minute response and turn it into 25 minutes with the best of them. So sorry about chasing the rabbit there. Okay, other questions before I forge ahead.
Let me check. I think that was it.
Okay.
Oh, does
All right.
Webex have a way to prevent student accounts from being able to join non-domain invites?
Absolutely. So at the administrator level, you have the ability to lock down what the users of your domain can do. And as some of you, maybe you already know this based on your question, there is not only a flavor of live events like we're in today, there's a flavor of Webex in live meetings. There's also a flavor of Webex that is not only live, but asynchronous in nature, and that is called Webex Teams. And they all operate together. And inside that, you have the domain listed peeps. You can decide, if you're a part of this domain, what you can and do and what you can't do, and who can even come into those. You can set your domain so that no external person can actually join a live call or be a part of an asynchronous conversation. So absolutely, it's all about security. You better believe it. In fact, I have and I have to get you this link in a minute because I don't have it right at my fingertips. But I did a webinar with a friend of mine from Cisco named Dave Ritteman about 2 weeks ago, and it was all about Webex and security. So I will get you a link to that on-demand video. It's about 15 minutes long, and you can watch that and have access to it as well. Great questions. Man, any other questions before we forge ahead? This is Stump the Instructor, and I appreciate it.
Move forward.
Okay. So back on the slide where we were talking about the different modalities of delivering information, I use the underscore term LMS, or Learning Management System. One of the questions I get most often is, how do I drive adoption with a tool like this with my faculty members? And because I have faculty members here, I don't want us to shirk that. I mean, guys, ladies, we're asking them to do 50,000 things, and many times we're handing them 50,000 tools to do those 50,000 things. We got to cease that. Okay, we need to meet our educators and our learners where they already are. And for a great portion, especially at the university level, for a huge portion of them, they're living inside this learning management system. It's where they have their syllabus. It's where they have their quizzes. It's where they have their assignments. All of those things live inside their learning management system. Now, if you're interested as a techie in what I'm about to talk about, I'm actually going to go out here real quick and put this link inside the Webex team space for our meeting so you guys can take it. Sarah, just put this over into the chat so folks can reference it if you don't mind. And for those of you who want all of this content, because this content is going to be not just while we're together, but it's going to be me adding content after the fact. If you want it, let Sarah or let Dahlia know, and they will add you to this Webex team space. Again, that's a flavor of Webex. So if we want to meet teachers where they are, we got to get it plugged into where they live. So check this out. Inside Canvas now, I as a faculty member have the ability to determine I don't really care about what flavor of Webex I'm using. What I really care about is how I'm going to use it. So option 2 there is virtual meetings. That's the live classes I teach. Do I want to use this to teach live classes? Now, before I go any further, right now we're in a distributed learning model. And one of the teachers I thought did such a great job the other day when she asked me this question. She said, so Lance, typically I've got 30 learners in one environment where I control every aspect of the environment. The temperature, the lighting, what they can see, where they're seated, and everything else. Now I have 30 learners in 30 environments where I cannot control a single thing about their environment, right? How am I going to do that? In this world that we are in COVID-19, virtual meetings allows us to manage all the way down to the expulsion of a student, what they can and can't do as if we're standing in a room with them, okay? Now, having said that, in a non-COVID world, I would strongly encourage you as a faculty member to explore the BYOD, the one-to-one engagement in your classroom to say, hey, how can I repurpose virtual meetings or virtual classes and use the same tool in my live classes? For things as basic as, I need you to be able to see it on your local glass, to be able to hold it up to your face and see it. I need to be able to have these 30 people subdivided into 6 different groups and stay in their chairs without ever leaving their seats go, and I want to be able to see everything that's going on. That's classroom collaboration, okay? I need to be able to have a standardized way to have office hours with individual learners. And we can use this tool whether we're in a COVID situation or not. Now, it may not be you, and that may be a little extreme, but I got to tell you what I heard the other day about Oklahoma. We're already discussing what we're calling toggling the learning environment. Let me define that for you. That means we may start all together here at the school, and then we may toggle based on an outbreak to remote for a couple of weeks. And then we may toggle back to school as the outbreak dies down. And then we may toggle back to distributed learning. If that's the world I'm going to find myself in, guaranteed I'm going to use the same tool for my local and remote experiences. So I got a groove on, and there's consistency in the way the learners engage with me. And do it all through your learning management system, okay? So now I have ticked these features, and there's a lot of other things down through here. I'm not going to try to bore you to tears here, but just so you know, one of the things the teacher asked me the other day is, how do we take attendance? He said, I got 70 learners, and I can't even get 70 learners on my screen at one time, regardless of the tool I'm using. I need this thing to take attendance. And I said, well, you can take attendance like this, or you can even assign a grade based on attendance. I mean, you can put it in a 0 weighted category and not give them a grade, but that's a part of the built-in process to the LMS. In the COVID situation I find myself in, 40% of my learners don't even have internet access. So what we're trying to do is push them notifications as to when class is going to start, so that bare minimum, they know they can dial in. I, as a teacher, don't have time to push notifications to learners. That's the job of the LMS plugin. That's why we do this, right? So all of the things that would help me transition to this are built into this plugin, and this plugin is no cost to you. It's not like you buy a Webex subscription that you turn around and buy the plugin for your LMS. The link that I gave you walks you, if you already have a Webex subscription and you already have a learning management system. And by the way, if you don't have a Webex subscription, I think Dahlia just right up front said, hey, we can help you with that. I mean, so reach out to one of these ladies that are on this call and say, hey, get a brother or sister hooked up for 90 or 120 days so we can at least play with this stuff. Dahlia will be right on it. Sarah will be right on it. They get you propped up, and you can plug it right into the LMS you already live in. And that link I gave you is the actual link to do that. Okay, so the teachers got it set up. They know what they want to do with this. How do they operate it? How difficult is this to do? Well, here we go. I'm going to hit virtual meetings. These are my classes, remember? Virtual meetings equals classes, which is large group instruction. I'm going to hit new meeting. Come in here and I'm going to say this is the live class session. It's going to start today, April the 30th. This is how long it's going to go, and I can change that. Here are my different flavors of Webex, and these flavors are beyond the scope of today's live engagement, but one of the links that Sarah put inside the chat was, want to get started with different flavors? Here's how to. So scroll up just a little bit in the chat and you'll see the link, and you'll see all the different flavors. You'll see teams, you'll see training, you'll see events, you'll see meetings. You can click on any of those, and there's a series of videos for you right now to go access and go through how you operate those. So you choose the flavor. I'm sorry.
Dr. Ford, we have a question regarding flavors. So Derek said we have Webex Meetings and Webex Teams desktop app installed on all of our user machines. We have Webex boards on our school sites, but we've been using the meeting app instead of Teams. Which is better? Should we only use one or both, or etc.?
So this is the right tool for the right task at the right time, Derek. Conversation. And again, my Cisco brethren may beg to differ, but you're hearing this from the classroom teacher who gets to live the nightmare. I mean, the opportunity, right? The virtual meetings, okay, which is Webex Meetings, as you see. Webex Meetings gives me maximum control down to the individual user of you're muted, you're unmuted. You can share, you can't share. You've unmute yourself one too many times, I'm sending you out to the hall. In Webex Ease, it's called the lobby, right? Then I'll let you cool off and I bring you back into class in 5 minutes, just like I normally would. Okay. It's the flavor that allows me to say, listen, I've sent you the hall twice. You're expelled. Once I expel you, you're to the principal's office, right? And there are records of all of that. So the Webex Meetings platform gives me what I would call micromanaging capabilities of my classroom. The Webex Teams platform, and I'm a Southeast Oklahoma boy, but I'm not dressed like this. I'm in Carhartts on a John Deere tractor. So forgive my isms, okay? Webex Teams is campfire come to Jesus, okay? We're all sitting around a campfire. I'm the teacher. Sometimes I'm the learner. You're the learner. Sometimes you're the teacher. I start drawing something. You have a brilliant idea as to how you think it should go, and you just jump right in and go. I'm messaging, communicating like this, and all of a sudden you're like, no, I don't agree with that. Okay. In Webex Meetings, I can say, you can't message right now. You can't message at all. You can message him, but you can't message her. In the Webex Campfire Come to Jesus experience of Teams, you message when you want to message. Now, granted, in Teams, I can flip a toggle and say, okay, this is locked. This is announcements only, and it turns into a broadcast modality. I can do that. But the forte of Teams, to me, is the small group instruction. And so once I'm just going to go ahead and create this real quick. I'm going to choose a couple of things and say this is going to happen on Tuesdays and Thursdays from now. Let me scroll down just a little bit, just so you can see how this works. Okay. Scroll down a little bit. So it's going to roll from now to the end of my semester, which is the 29th. Boom, and create. Okay. So now I have literally created the live class meeting session every Tuesday and Thursday from now to the end of May. You just watch me do it. If I hit record as a part of one of these scheduled things, underneath past meetings, that recording automatically appears. In fact, I'm working with the folks in Orange County right this second with a friend of mine named Mary. Let me go back here. What am I doing? Virtual meetings, past meetings. Okay, so here are the past meetings from some of these trainings. And you see where the recording button was hit, there's actually on-demand recordings. I don't want to interrupt anybody who else is teaching in here, so I don't want to interrupt their flow. So I'm going to come down to the one I taught. Here's the on-demand recording, but right here, if I click join this one, since I was the teacher of this, check it out. I have the entire who showed up roster and what time they showed up, all in the LMS, all right here for me. So that is Webex Meetings. Now, to your point on Webex Teams, I have the ability to say, we're in a live class. Now it's time to have our small group sessions. This is where we're going to do digital portfolios. This is where we're going to do project-based learning. And the reason we're going to do it here, as opposed to some breakout session in a live engagement, is because all of my small group projects expand beyond the confines of 9 to 9:50 on Tuesday and Thursday. I mean, I know that's not the case for everybody. Some teachers, somehow, they're better time managers than me, can get all their group work done while they're in class. If that's you, bully for you. That you're a much better teacher than I. When I do small group work, it ebbs and flows between live class, after class, which then becomes before the next class, and then back together. Until I had classroom collaboration, the only way my learners could do that was exchange personal information, cell phone numbers, Skype handles, FaceTime numbers, Twitter handles, and they would have to personally do this. I got a lot of students now who don't want to exchange personal information with other students in their class. Okay, so having this opportunity built into the LMS where they can work in these small groups, and most importantly, where I can see their work. Why is that important? I think it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Sometimes I'll have a learner come up to me and say, you know, Susie's in my group and she hasn't contributed at all. This entire time, she hasn't done anything. She hasn't come to any live meetings, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, what are you using? Well, we're exchanging all this stuff in this particular Google Drive doc, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, unless you share that with me, I can't get into it. I can't even know. Here, I can proactively see who said what when. I can see when you had a live engagement. I have a roster of those live engagements. So I can deal with those situations before they fester, I guess is the way I would say it. And just taking it to the other extreme here. Sometimes people feel empowered behind a keyboard to say things that they wouldn't otherwise say face to face. If they drop an F-bomb in here or call somebody out a name or whatever, even if they delete it, my compliance officer can undelete it and tell you the date, the time, and the person who actually said it. They upload an inappropriate file thinking, oh, this is going to be cute. And then they delete it, right? Compliance officer undeletes it. So having them work in this environment allows me to put, my kids were little, we go to the bowling alley, we drop the little rubber things so they can always feel like they at least hit one pin, right? It allows me to drop the bumpers on my class and keep the ball moving down the bowling alley on the specific topic that we need to cover. So that's how I'm using those two tools in conjunction with each other. I realize you have two different clients downloaded, and if your teachers and students have got a handle on that, that is awesome. A lot of the folks who are in total panic mode right now, if I threw them two clients, they'd just be doing one of these numbers, right? So putting it all in the LMS minus a client name and just saying, hey, you're in live class, hey, you're in small group, seems to resonate. I hope that was not too long of an explanation, but I wanted you to see how it actually works and not just trust me kind of deal. All right, Dahlia, other questions? I'm looking.
Yes, can I sync my Google domain users to Webex?
Oh, yes, you can. Oh, that is a great question. We're G Suite users ourselves. So let me do this real quick. I am going to go here. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to sign out. Now I'm going to go to howeschools.webex.com. Check this out. There's the G right there. Hit the big G, bada bing, bada boom. Here's my Google accounts. Boom. I'm single signed on. Now, that's the basic level. Let's talk about things like your Google Calendar or your Google Classroom, right? I'm going to go into my Google Calendar. I'm going to bebop in at, let's see, 12:30. I'm going to put today's class in here. And I can put it in Webex by clicking one of these links, or I can put it in Webex Teams by typing in @meet right here. Now, this is where this gets fun. And somebody asked this already. Can you lock your domain so that only my G Suite users can be a part of this? Yes, you can. Or you can have it where anybody, and I'm just demonstrating that right now, throwing anybody in here. Rooms, oh, I love this. These are our buildings. Yeah.
So the Google Classroom tie-in, Dr. Ford?
Yes. Yeah, let me get through the calendaring and then we'll go to the Google Classroom. Great question. So I'm in my list of buildings here, and I'm going to go down to the technology building, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm in this room, and I'm in this room. Then I'm going to save this, just like I would any Google Calendar event. Okay, so you watched me build the whole thing in my Google Calendar. Now, what's actually happening is the devices that I included, the rooms that I included, check it out. You get a big green button on them. So when you walk into that room as a part of your PLC or as a part of your after-school workshop, okay, today's workshop, do I want to join? Yes. That's it. I mean, there's literally nothing else to do. I'm going to mute this so I don't get feedback because I have another device right here. I know you won't be able to see this one. It's going to be small. But it's for this little camera that's on top of a Promethean board that some of you already have. Right? So rock what you got. There's a big green button here that says join. So now I have joined in from those devices. Now, I cheated a little bit. Voicea is also waiting to come in here. Do you remember me coming? Okay. All right. So my speech-to-text engine is also waiting to come in. I'm going to bebop over here and say, let's let them in. Boom. And now my speech-to-text engine is also in here. So all of those tools came together because I had the time to go to Google and spend the 30 seconds to create the meeting, to invite the peeps, and choose the rooms we're going to use. That all happened. Now, Google Classroom. Let's go there real quick. The first thing I will say about Google Classroom is it is not an LTI compliant learning management system. We all know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Tools like Schoology, that is, and Pearson Power School is partnered tight with Schoology. Schoology is LTI compliant. The plugin for LTI and Schoology is supposed to be done next week. So these LTI ones are really straightforward to use and easy because they all work and look the same. When we get into a non-LTI environment, and I probably have some corporate trainers out there who use other things that are non-LTI, that's when we need to work with other organizations. So I have a thing called video chats here, and you see live meetings and office hours. And I'm going to click this link right here. I'm going to use my single sign-on again because we love single sign-on. And now I have the ability to schedule my upcoming events, to have my appointment booking for my office hours, to have my recordings from prior class, and to check all my attendance. Now you see this one looks a little different. And the reason it looks a little different, it's non-LTI, first and foremost. And number two, we are utilizing a Cisco partner called Cirque Live, CIRQLIVE, to actually do this integration. And this is a white glove integration, guys. Somebody from Cisco is going to get mad when I put it this way, but I gave you the link to prop up the Cisco one. That's sort of a roll your own, right? I'm in Oklahoma, so anyway, it's a roll your own integration. This integration is a white glove integration. So they're going to ask you about a dozen questions. They're going to do all this work for you in the background. And then all of a sudden you're going to have this link pop up in Google Classroom. Now there is a fee associated with this. I don't want to shortchange you here. I don't want to mislead you or anything like that. But there is this amazing integration for you in Google Classroom as well. It has your event calendar, it has your appointment booking, it has your recordings, it has your attendance. All of those sorts of things are listed here inside your Google Classroom. So, yes, if you're a Google Classroom user and you want to use the Webex integration, there is an option for that. Woo! 12:37, man, where does the time go? I'm having way too much fun. Other questions, Dahlia?
Yes. Can the free Webex be integrated into the LMS?
Oh, so let's talk about this. I've got Evelina on here with me, and so I'm watching her eyes because she says 1,000 words without ever opening her mouth, right? I mean, her facial expressions, they tell it all. So Evelina, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Right now, during COVID-19, Cisco is helping organizations, colleges, universities, K12s, prop up a free, I'll call it trial version of Webex for your entire organization. And that duration of that trial, Evelina, is it 90? Is it 120? How long is that? Say it one more time. 90. Okay. All right. So you can get it at no cost to you for 90 days. Now, here's the reason you have to have the trial version as opposed to the free version. Your LMS is college, university, K-12 district wide, right? Your little free version that you signed up for is one. So integrating the one into all, I can't integrate the one into your G Suite domain. I have to have all of us in there. Now, having said that, and someday, if y'all want to talk price, I'll be more than happy to tell you what we paid as a K-12 organization for this. It's the average street price of this. But I think a lot of times people start wigging out when you use the C word, Cisco, and start talking about product, because that means it has the equivalent bumper sticker of, a Mercedes or a Lamborghini. And they're like, dude, there ain't no way. We can't afford that. That is not the case whatsoever. In fact, when I told my superintendent how much it was going to cost us to have it for the year for every teacher and every student, unlimited recording, and the LMS plugin, he said, I pay more for trash pickup than that. Okay. So again, I'm not trying to scare you off, but I gotta be real. Our total bonding capacity as a district, that's how we fund our buildings in Oklahoma, is less than $300,000. I can't put a roof on a high school for $300,000. Okay, so this had to be affordable. Great question, Dahlia.
One more. Can I lock the mute button for my students?
Oh, yes. Can I lock the mute button for my students? I'm going to answer that question directly with one word, no. And then I'm going to laugh. And because every time somebody asks me that, here's my response. This is supposed to be set up like a classroom. And I truly do have 50 students first thing at 7:55 in the morning. At 7:55 in the morning, don't think for a minute there's not some students I'd like to double lock or mute lock. Okay? I'd like to walk up to them and go, boop, boop, and then just start going. Man, I would love that. But unfortunately, I can't do that in the classroom. Thus, I cannot do that in Webex meetings. But I still have all of the same, I call it management by walking around in my classroom, right? So usually when I get closer to somebody, if they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing, I don't have to say anything. I just have to stand a little closer and they cease. Same thing in this environment. There are some drop downs, and we cover those on Tuesday at 11 a.m. There are some settings, some drop downs that allow me to manage my classroom by proximity inside the Webex Meetings platform. So no, you can't force mute or double mute, but man, if we ever get that into the Webex cloud, I want it in my classroom too. I really do. I'm not even gonna tell you the kid's name. His first name is John, but dude, yes, absolutely.
Okay, one more. Between Webex Meetings and Teams, which is better for a primary school class?
I would say Webex Meetings, and I will tell you why. Because in the Webex Meetings platform, here's the example. I've got pre-K and kindergarten teachers, and we have a 3-year-old program, okay, here at this school. So, and we actually have a 2-year-old program, but we're not going to talk about that right now. My teachers who were using Teams in that environment with themselves as a PLC decided they would use it with their learners. And the first thing that happened was they brought up their iPad and started drawing something. And then, of course, every kid, you know, here we go. We're all drawing, yeah. So you can't control that in Teams, right? When they open up the whiteboard, it's Katie, bar the door. We're going to whiteboard it. So we decided we would do a school-wide assembly 3 weeks ago on a Monday. So we've been closed for like 2 weeks. We get all the kids together in this huge WebEx. And by the way, you can live stream WebEx to Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, all that sort of stuff. So when they asked me about it, I said, we can do it, but I would not let the entire student population in. Let's pick 50 kids, representatives from each grade level, and then get all the teachers in, and then let the parents and the other kids watch it on Facebook with our secure Facebook group, okay? So that's what they decided to do. Well, they had some 3-year-olds, they had some seniors. Senior gets on, man, he's really mature. He's like, guys, I know a lot of you, I've been messaging you, and you're complaining about having to take classes like this. Welcome to college. If you don't like this, you are not going to like college. I mean, because he's also in 2 or 3 college classes right now. So he went off for about 5 minutes. When we graduated all the way down, we got to the 3-year-old. And 3-year-old's in front of his mom's webcam, and he's doing this. He's just all like nervous. And he says, I want to say hi to Mrs. Jones. And sure enough, Miss Jones comes off mute. Tommy, oh, it's so good to see you. What do you miss about our class? Tommy goes, well, I really, really miss Johnny because we used to play out on the playground every day. But I don't miss Susie. She was really mean to me. And I mean, everybody just lost it, right? I mean, we're all just like, this is the moment where the relationship shines, the transparency of the technology tool gets out of the way, and the reality of we're isolated but not alone comes full circle, right? And I guess what I would say about that is there are so many creative ways that our faculty members have come to use this in the last 5 weeks that I never thought possible. I'm not saying they were new to WebEx. I mean, they have WebEx devices. They're using them in their classrooms. But this distributed learning model, man, this is a whole new enchilada for them. And I am so proud of what they're doing. IEP meetings, all the things that are just a part of physical therapy, speech pathologists, all those things that are part of counseling services, that are part of a regular school day are now happening like this. And I'll add this on because I have a paper article right here that was handed to me by my wife 2 nights ago that made my stomach turn. I'll just read you the headline. Intruders post racist language in Oklahoma education meeting. That's the Oklahoma Board of Education. That is not acceptable. Now, I'm not going to tell you what tool they're using, but they're not using a WebEx tool. And unfortunately, the person who was responsible for that meeting said, I guess this is just the new normal. No. It is not the new normal. Having people come into my 3rd grade class, once we're back together and have racist comments happen, we wouldn't accept that, right? That's not the new normal. The great part about what we're doing here is it's secure. We don't have people coming in and giving me reports like this. That has not happened, because part of what we do is make everything secure. Unique links, unique passwords. Every teacher has a lock to their own environment. And just like they lock their classroom door so the security officer can't pull it open, they lock their virtual classroom. So I'm encouraging you guys, really, 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 if you're struggling with that, let Dahlia, let Sarah, let the team help with this, because that is not the new normal. You do not have to compromise security to have an online experience. Sorry, soapbox, stepping down.
Thank you for that. Does the LMS plugin interface with a corporate LMS system?
Good question. So technically, the plugin is LTI 1.1 compliant, and you'll see that documentation inside the link that Sarah shared with you. So technically, if the LMS is LTI 1.1 compliant, then yes, it will plug in. Now, having said that, we looked at the Google Classroom, which is not in any way, shape, or form LTI compliant. There is a solution for that, and it is this CircuLive. And if you look up CIRQLIVE.com, you'll see all the information about the solution. You'll see all the LMSs they partner with, and that is not an exhaustive list, because that's just a Genesis list. I talked to the guy who helps ramrod that organization. They're in Israel. Last night, his time, some point, they're all running together. And he said, Lance, we are up. We had one school, one countywide school that wanted 150 licenses, 150,000 licenses 2 months ago, and they just crossed their 1 millionth license yesterday. So, I mean, this is a scalable, supported white glove solution. So whoever asked that, if you want to reach out to me directly at the end of this, you can. Sarah, if you'll put whoever's asking that inside the Webex team space, we can at least have a conversation beyond the scope of this. I feel like my hands are chopped off and I can't see who these people are, right? Sorry. Other questions, Dahlia?
That was the last one on the list.
Well, I know I was supposed to be done 2 minutes ago, according to the calendar that we put out there. So let me wrap in 60 seconds, and then I'll pitch it back to you, and we'll go from there. All you teachers, I am literally on my knees, okay, saying thank you, thank you, thank you for what you're doing in the face of extraordinarily nightmarish circumstances to work with your learners and to keep them hooked up and involved. The relationship is the most important thing you can do. And some administrators are going to go, no, Lance, we still have a test. Yeah, you do. We got a test. But right now, I got kids who are not getting fed breakfast or lunch unless they come up here and we hand it to them, right? So stay in touch with your learners. If this means that I need to get in a call with your learners to encourage them, I am more than happy to do that. I have a friend named Brad, who is an educational comedian who works with kids all over the world. He has told me, Lance, if there's any schools that need me to work with any students, anywhere, anytime, he's in Kentucky, I'll be glad to. So I want this to be not a time of isolation, okay? Not a time of being alone, but a time of relationship, first and foremost. If you're a technical person out there, and I know we've got some, thank you for keeping the fire stoked. Thank you for keeping the gears greased. Thank you for keeping your car on the road, because you too were never told or intimated that you were going to have to flip a switch and do this overnight. Okay. For you administrators, again, thank you, thank you, thank you for giving your faculty the go ahead to fail if it fails, and to get up and pick themselves up and try something else. If we can help you plan for what could be another challenge this fall, please let Dahlia and Sarah know so that we can be proactive this time and not reactive when it happens next time. All right. Thanks for all you do. Don't be strangers. Dahlia, I'm giving it back to you, my dear. I'll pass you the ball.
Thank you.
Into this real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Thank you, the presenter, and there you go.
Thank you so much. So I just wanted to wrap up by saying thank you for joining us today. Please note that we are doing a threat hunting workshop in May, and so you'll also see invitations for that one. As I mentioned earlier, this session was recorded and you'll be getting the recording emailed to you early next week so that you can review it or share it. If you have any other questions, we're happy to add you to the Teams room so we can go ahead and do that so you can see all of the collateral that Sarah had actually also put in the chat. And thank you again for your time today. We really appreciate your attendance and we hope it was helpful.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great rest of your day.